Hi, how's everybody doing? How's everybody doing? Come on up closer. Come on up closer if you're here. Thank you. Hey, I went to 14 years of Catholic grade school, so please come up closer so you can feel the love, all right? And come on, who really wants to make a difference? Come on up close. And those of you who want to be complacent and apathetic, checked out, just stand in the back, okay? Just so we could define who's on the bus and who's off the bus. All right?
Woo! I'm on the bus.
My name is Arn Menconi, and I'm your candidate for U.S. Senate for the Green Party from Colorado. Yes. All right. So I'm going to hope that by the end of what I have to say, everyone who's moved up close wants to change the system that we're presently in.
Yes.
Yep.
That's why I have jumped into this race. You do not jump into a third-party race because you think it might be a nice thing to do on your resume. You don't jump into a third-party race because you think it might help pay for your bills for your kids' education. You do not jump into a third-party race because you think that people will like you because they're always talking about the lesser of two evils between Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton.
Yes.
The reason you get into a third-party race is because you have core values.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because you feel that it is your moral integrity to make a difference between today, Independence Day, and November 8th. I wake up every day trying to do all I can to change the system that we're in because of what this country has been doing in the 57 years that I've been alive. We have seen our country lie and go to war and kill millions of people and spend trillions of dollars, and we get to live in Colorado and ski and mountain bike and do all of these wonderful things. Well, right now, our country on Friday, the day before a long weekend, released that we have only killed 64 to 116 people from drone attacks. And if you believe that, we're idiots.
No more!
Okay? So I want you to understand my passion and my conviction. This isn't some kind of great act. This is about the fact that I cannot be a father of two children, knowing what I know now, and watch my country with my taxpayer dollars kill innocent people called Muslims that are 1.6 billion people in the world and justify that, and we don't see it on our news every day, and we have to listen to a rhetoric race and a horse race every day in America. The Green Party understands that. The Green Party understands that we have been lied to death. If the system is rigged, I've been traveling a little bit, all right? I got in the car on Saturday, drove to Durango. I live in Carbondale. That was about 250 miles. Yesterday I sat with 6 people and listened to what was important to them. Along the way, I get to talk to people of what's important to them. Everybody knows we live in an oligarchy.
Yep.
Everybody knows we live in what I want everybody to repeat, that Arn Menconi says, the corporate global mafia. All right? Or as Chris Hedges, I stole that from Chris Hedges, so now you'll like it. All right? As Chris Hedges says, the corporate totalitarian state. Or as Chris Hedges has taken from Sheldon Walden, the inverse totalitarianism. So what does that mean, and how does that affect our day-to-day lives, and how do you tell people between now and November 8th why they should get up and vote for a third-party candidate that's going to win the U.S. Senate race?
Yeah.
Okay?
Yep.
It affects us because when you have a system that's not a democracy, it doesn't matter if it's Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump. They are taking billions of dollars from corporations that don't need sovereign states. They just need to rent their elected officials in order to give them what they want in order to make more profits.
That's right.
Yep.
All right? And where does that play out the most? I don't know if you know this, but I got to spend 10 days with Daniel Ellsberg last summer at his house in Berkeley. Right? And we came out with an oral history of why the United States lies to go to war. And you could hear that for free. And free is really cool on my website. And Ellsberg will tell you that this is an empire in decline. And this is what empires do when they're in decline. And he'll take you back through all the empires in the history of the world. Back to the first empire, which started in Persia and Iran. Our empire is trying to preserve a military-industrial complex, a financial system, oil and gas, big pharma, big ag, and the Israeli neocons.
That's right.
That is the framework that I think about when I'm talking to people about what's important. People aren't saying to me, Arn, we want you to run because you want to stop endless wars. That's why I got in this race. People are saying to me that they want us to stop fracking in the state of Colorado.
Yep.
So when you become a U.S. Senator, people say to you, well, what are you going to do about wildlife advocacy? Well, I didn't even know that was a genre. Is that on floor 5 or 6 in the department store? You know, so you have to learn all of these issues, but you always have to bring it back to the emotional issue of why people want to vote and why they want change. And what I tell them is, think about who's making the most amount of money, because they're hustling and stealing. And those are the 5 areas that I talked about. The military, big pharma, big ag, finance, oil and gas, and the Israeli neocons, right? So we have a foreign policy. Last week I was at the Aspen Ideas Festival. And I always get in a little bit of trouble at this nice country club of intellectual billionaires.
Oh, not you.
Yeah. And this is real nerdy. All right. But does anyone know who Victoria Nuland is and Robert Kagan, the power couple in Washington, D.C.? A hand goes up in the back. I was sitting next to Victoria Nuland, who is the Assistant Secretary of State, trying to eavesdrop on her conversation, knowing what a powerful woman she is and how she's trying to create a proxy war in the Ukraine to try to understand what is going on. While I was doing that, Abby Martin's brother shot me a note on Facebook and said, "Are you really hanging out with Victoria Nuland?" And he just finished, and it's for sale, an 8-hour documentary about how this is the neocons and the liberal interventionists have essentially evaporated the distinction between those two issues. So how does that bring us back? What does that mean to us? It means endless war. It means that global warming will continue to not have solution to it. And it'll mean that inequality gap will continue to accelerate. So I would love to talk for another 5 or 10 minutes, but I'm going to try to bring this home. People in Colorado are telling me that they're pissed off, as Robert said, about fracking, minimum wage, they want universal health care, and Department of Commerce. That was a very esoteric joke. So, I need you guys to help us win the only Green Party election that we might be able to win, and of course I'm biased, because in the state of Colorado we have a race that will only take about 600 to 800,000 people to vote. I'm from the south side of Chicago. You don't win a mayoral race in Chicago with 600,000 votes. You can win a statewide vote. The way we do it is by the fact that I probably think, well, I've got about 10% of the vote right now. Jill Stein has 7, Gary Johnson has a little over 10. People, there were 63% of the convention, the Democratic convention. Some of you were there. For Michael Bennett, that shouted him off stage, thank you very much. It helped me greatly. That there's 1.1 million Democrats in the state of Colorado. If we could get a couple 100,000 of those Democrats who will not vote for Hillary or will not vote for Michael Bennett, that's a big jump ahead. If we can get the people who want universal health care, if we could get the people who want fracking, if we could get the people that want an increase to minimum wage, we can go ahead and narrow the gap. Michael Bennett has raised $12 million from corporations. 80% of those dollars have come from outside of the state of Colorado. He has taken money from Goldman Sachs. He's taken money from DeVita, which has been indicted for Medicare fraud. He's putting up, I get his emails every day saying that his race is a contested race according to Washington Post. That article is about 3 months old. If you haven't noticed, I'm also running against a Republican. Does anyone know what his name is? Daryl something. Yeah, that's what his name is. Daryl Glenn. He is a unapologetic, this is what he says. This is his brand. Hi, I'm an unapologetic Christian constitutionalist.
Okay.
Yeah. Hi, my name's Arn Menconi, and I'm an unapologetic Buddhist snowboarder. That's going to be a really weird triangulation to make between a guy who's a county commissioner from El Paso County who wants Ted Cruz to be nominated to the Supreme Court.
Oh, God.
Jeez.
And Michael Bennett, who has started off his career with Anschutz, went into the Department of Education for the city of Denver, and practically ran them dry on their pension fund.
That's right.
Right?
Yep.
Has voted for TPP. Let's distinguish this before I slam him. He will tell you he has not decided his vote on TPP. Yeah. Do you remember how he told us he was going to vote for the Iran deal? The Friday before Labor Day weekend. He has voted against the Keystone Pipeline, and I just said that. He's against Colorado Cares. Michael's strategy for getting elected is duck.
Yep.
He will tell people that he's Cory Gardner's friend. He's running ads saying that he will work with Cory Gardner. I will eviscerate Cory Gardner on a rig. Because Cory Gardner is representing the people I spoke about earlier who's consistently taking us to war. Right?
Yep.
So I can talk about the policies. The media wants to talk about the rhetoric race. The media wants to talk about how much money I've raised. I've raised about $2,000. Half of it has been from Arn Menconi. All right? We need to raise about $500,000. We need to have about 100 people who could get 100 people if we want to be on the bus that wins. Because let me tell you something, there's only one thing I really know how to do: create urgency. Between now and November 8th, we have to get elected. Otherwise, no one's going to take us seriously. If we don't get elected, if we don't get 10, 15% of the vote before Labor Day, people are just going to say, well, he doesn't have enough money. It's just some narcissistic thing that the guy's doing. We have to go back to those core values. And we have to put aside for right now whether or not it's the long-term issue or if we're going to fight for the short-term issue. Because I can guarantee you this. I've already been told I'm going to be on mainstream media on July 15th on the Marshall Zalinger show. Right? So once I start to do that, I was telling somebody, it's like climbing. You got to get a foothold. If I can't get a foothold, I can't get up to the next one. And you cannot beat a guy who's got $12 million and getting another 12 of dark money just with $2,000 and a 2006 Toyota Tundra with 185,000 miles on it, okay? So here's what I want you to do right now. I want you to reach in your pocket and I want you to pull out a smartphone, if you have one. And I want you to take a picture of me with a group of people, and I want you to post that on something we call social media. All right? Maybe you have a Facebook page. Maybe you have a Twitter page. Maybe you have Snapchat. All right? And you're going to say, I am voting for Arn Menconi because he will stop endless wars, or he will fight against fracking, or he will make sure that corporate cronyism does not exist in the United States. I hope you see the type of passion. That passion comes from, again, 60 million people go to sleep every night in refugee camps. Those refugees are going to sleep because of our endless wars. Those are the militarization that or our military interventionism is in our police departments.
Yep.
It's in our streets. And this week I spoke to Michael Dyson, who just came out with a book called The Black President. And I said, I have been in 6 laydown for Black Lives Matters. I have worked with the president of the Black Bar Association on trying to get legislation passed. And Barack Obama and Eric Holder has failed the black community in not passing any legislation in 8 years. And he said, you're right. That's the type of leadership we've seen for 8 years. We've seen leadership where they tell us where we think they're doing something for us on all the big issues. And yet they don't pass the legislation. And some of the issues that I have, you're not going to agree with. You may not agree with my position on banning assault guns, all right? You may not agree with how I'm prioritizing it. You may not like the cut of my jib. You may not like the fact that I'm a guinea from the south side of Chicago who likes the White Sox. I saw a White Sox fan over here, all right? But I tell you this, you got to believe in yourself. You got to believe that you're sitting here because you are sick and tired of being sick and tired, all right? And we've got to do this. This is the low-hanging fruit. We cannot be at first and goal and fumble. We have to do this. I am not trying to get elected to the U.S. Senate so I could become a rich guy. I'm trying to do it because so I could fight every day to save lives, to not take special interest money, and make a difference for my children's and our children's children. Thank you very much. Let's get some social media. Otherwise, let me say this. If I don't get some fuel, some love that's going to carry me through the next couple of weeks where I get out of bed and I'm not feeling it, by you guys coming up here, getting pictures and spreading it on social media, or maybe you want to give me a little gas money for driving around the state or something like that, or throw a fundraiser on August 16th. I'll be in Denver at the Mercury Cafe, for example, and you'll all want to bring people there. But we got to make this happen. Between now and November 8th, do I have any witnesses? Stand up! Do I have any witnesses? Do you think I can win this race? Stand up, and if you don't, please stay seated. Thank you. Does anyone have any questions? Is there anyone I haven't eviscerated that you'd like to see how I can do that, just right off the cuff? Okay, so, all right. Are there any issues that I did not cover that you're hearing about that you wish me to represent for you? Yes? Immigration.
Rent control.
Rent control. Pardon? Climate change.
Yep.
The three-legged stool of my campaign is endless wars, fighting for climate change, and fighting to narrow the inequality gap. Then the question becomes how we do it. Oh, I forgot to go to solution. I'm not going to vote for a military budget until it's audited. I have a master's in business administration. I ran a $3 million national charity for 20 years. I'm pretty good with budgets. The military budget is a lie. We could take 30% out of the military budget and reappropriate it.
Yep.
We could do capital gains tax and find money for higher education and single-payer health care. We could go after the tax havens, the $13.5 trillion that are in taxpayers, in tax havens. There are plenty of solutions. It's just that we're not hearing it because we don't have leadership. We have people who are representing corporations. Thanks. Love you.
Thank you, Arn. There's a couple things I gotta say.